Roundtable Podcast. I'm your host, Dimitri. This is my co-host.
What's going on? It's Mark and Mark.
Hey, okay, we're here. We're here for another week of an amazing podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the Tales series, the Tales Star Wars series. Not the Tales Walking Dead series. We don't know nothing about that right now, but the Tales Star Wars series, which was Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, and Tales of the Underworld, which all of them are great. And they're very short. I know you got a lot of stuff to say about, I'm assuming, the Tale of the Jedi, because that was your boy.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite one because they had Dooku in there, and we got to see who he was and why he ended up taking the path that he took.
Yeah.
And it even gave more backstory to him telling the reason why he told Obi-Wan something like that, because he felt, to me in his mind, he felt like, Obi-Wan, I trained your master, and I know if he was alive, he would have helped me. But I wouldn't have went to the dark side, but he would have helped me in all of this. So he was like, just come on and help me. Like, I remember, and it hurt, like, it almost makes Dooku's story, like, kind of tragic, because the fact that he was proud of Qui-Gon when he found out he had got Obi-Wan as an apprentice. And then right after that, not too long, he finds out that Maul took him out. So then he was hurt about that. So it was like, you just saw these things. And he stood against a lot of what the Order was about, which Qui-Gon was the same way. And it's just that he took a different path than probably Qui-Gon would have. But he even said it himself. He was much wiser than he is, which Qui-Gon said to Obi-Wan. So it's almost like it was passed down through masters to apprentice.
Yeah, I agree. I think what makes Dooku's tragic end in Revenge of the Sith is because we now have this more of his like backstory and like how he was like, hey, I know what's gonna happen to you pretty soon. You might want to listen to me. I'm gonna put you on game. And everybody's just, what are you talking about, old man? We don't know nothing.
You just an old, angry, decrepit old man. We're not listening to you anymore.
We're not giving you no time. And a lot of lives would have been saved if they would have just at least heard Dooku out. Nobody just wanted to hear Dooku out for nothing. They were like, you're on the dark side. We're not hearing Darksiders out.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not even gonna give you a chance.
Even his look, like the fight he had with Yaddle, he was like, you could tell he's like, I don't want to have to do this, but I have to do this because you know, too much has gotten out, and it's gonna f with what I got going on right now.
Exactly, you gotta go. You gotta piece you out, because I just think that was a really well done episode, and I do that it got passed down, like that wisdom, because like even when you look at One's entire like life, he was very wise up and after the fall of the Republic and everything like that, and Empire came in, he understood and he had time to learn and get more wisdom. And when he finally like battled Vader in the end, he was like, oh, this ain't my fight no more. I'm gonna just leave it to the next generation.
What's crazy about that? A new revelation came to me about that whole scene that changed. I saw it on YouTube somewhere. I saw it, but it changed my whole aspect of Obi-Wan. Let Vader defeat him. They said he looked and he saw the twins together. They said because he finally saw the twins together, Luke and Leia. He was like, "Okay, I did what I was supposed to do." When I heard somebody mention that, and when you see the video now, it's damn, bro. That really is. That's what it was. Like I know this is like it's not on the show what we reviewing, but when you brought it up, I had to mention that because it's like that brings a whole nother like level perspective to Obi-Wan as a person and what he went through to try to fight this empire, what he had to sacrifice. And when he saw them together, it was one of those moments like, I'm at peace.
Exactly. I think at that point in time, you realize he secured like victory. That was not only his personal victory and his personal journey to get back or get over the fact that he failed, or at the time before we knew what happened in Obi-Wan, we thought he failed Anakin. That was what like burdened him. And so to make up for that failure, and I think it's a failure that he didn't kill him. You know what I mean? That he made sure that not only that the two people that he was looking out for made it, but he put balance. He put hope back into the universe. Like he knew it's good, and I think maybe even he knew that his son will be able to reach Anakin because he couldn't.
Yeah.
So that's not on the menu, but when you got me thinking when you said that.
Man, because when you brought it up, I thought about that. I was like, man, that's true, man. I never thought of it like that. And it's been years now. And I was like, man, I never once it crossed my mind to just think that's what it was. He looked, because he smiled.
Yeah.
I always was like, why did he smile? And then I'm like, now, duh.
You're right. You're like, it just blew your mind because you're like, it's been there this entire time, and you just really couldn't put the piece together. And in one moment, you're like, that was it. But yeah, I think for the Tale of the Jedi, I like both of them. And I did Count Dooku a little bit more, but I'm an Ahsoka fan. I think we both are.
Yeah.
So anytime I get to see Ahsoka,
I enjoy Ahsoka.
I'm a happy camper.
I like how we now know that Ahsoka was present at the funeral, at Padme's funeral.
Yeah.
I like that part because that moment really showed us like what Ahsoka really was going through. Because at the moment she doesn't know what happened to Anakin. So at the moment she's just thinking, I've lost both of my friends, people close to me. I've lost them both. So she's just trying to find that like clarity and trying to get that moment of like relief. And it's like she still can't get it because she got to sneak around now because of what's going on in the galaxy. So she can't find her peace. And it's ironic that she still doesn't really get that peace until decades later, after the Empire is taken down. She finally has her moment with Anakin that she never really had got to get as her training.
Yeah.
I thought, in the whole, I'll say this about all the Tale series. I like these deep dives because even though they're short episodes, like the runtime, I like how they're deep dives into these characters to show us like the personalities, and it's not so bent on showing the action and the battles. Like it's really personal. It's more personal. We get to see the moments of these characters' lives that kind of changed them and guided them into the direction of where that character was going in the future. Like with Ahsoka, we saw her past, but we also seen it was all the past, but we seen how she got to the present and how she'll get to the future. Like we saw what would lead up. Dooku, we saw the past, but we saw how he got to where he was going. With Empire, we got to see what happened to Barris. But for the longest, we all predicted that she was an Inquisitor for the longest.
Yeah, we did.
We was like, are y'all ever going to show us? That was cool. It was cool to get that.
Just on that point, it was cool to see her go from being an Inquisitor and then her realizing, nah, I think what I'm about, and then being like a guide.
I like that because I feel like even with her having the whole thing with what happened with the Jedi Order, it still wasn't Barris' character to be a Sith. That wasn't like what her initiative was like when she was training as a Jedi. So I'm glad they like said, hey, she's not going with this because she know it ain't right. And I was like, good. Like she still has what her master taught her and instilled in her. Like you, I appreciate that they did that because they could have just said, "Oh no, she just went straight down the bad road and never turned back."
And never turned back. But I find it cool that she was able to get a redemption in a little bit because she definitely guided someone back on the path in the end. So I think that was a good way to end her character. Because I'm just assuming based on her putting a lightsaber through. I forget the Inquisitor putting a lightsaber through her. That's it.
Yeah.
Unless like I say now in the Disney era,
look, you can take a lightsaber to the gut and you'd be all right the next day.
So maybe she's still kicking, but for right now, I think she died.
Yeah,
but that's a cool end for her character. I was surprised about it. And then Morgan, I was surprised just because how many twists she had. Because she
Yeah,
went from cool, and I was like, okay, I can get behind this. And now I'm wondering how you're getting to be this like villain. And then she
yeah.
immediately was like, nope. I was like, geez. I was like, what?
She really was though. Hell
Right?
no. Nope.
She's like, oh, nope. So I was like, dang, that was crazy. Like
I will
hers was interesting. Go ahead.
I will say this. I will say this. I have one thing. Just
Okay.
one thing that I would change in all of these.
Okay.
With Underworld, I would have rather seen Boba Fett instead of Cad
Mm.
Bane. Let me
Well,
tell
okay.
you why.
Well,
Let me
yeah,
tell
I
you
was about
why.
to ask why. Yeah.
Because with Cad Bane, I love that he took on that classic like trope of a Western character that was mystical and mysterious, and you didn't really know where they was from, and they kind
Yeah.
of popped up out of nowhere, but they ride off into the sunset. Like the man, he basically was like the man with no name from the Good, Bad, and the Ugly series. What's his name? Clint Eastwood did. So I was good with not knowing what happened to him because I was like, he an outlaw. That's what outlaws do, and
Yeah.
typically like their stories are all the same. It's like an origin. Either they was troubled kids or they was found by a clan of people, raised up, they're orphans. It's all the same kind of story. So I
Yeah.
was like, I really was like, I liked. Don't get me wrong, I liked it, but I was just like, man, I think they could have used that on Boba Fett and showed us that time from when he got his father's armor up until probably I would even say you could end it like right at the end of I would have had it in that Revenge of the Sith to a New Hope timeline to
Okay.
kind of fill in those gaps.
Bridge
And then
those
plus
gaps.
it would have tied in with like Asajj Ventress what she was doing and stuff because they it would have all been in the same
The
era.
same kind of
And then we could
area.
have got that 1313 like the game we were
Yeah.
supposed to get 20 years ago. Let me stop. And they could have teased the base when do return. But yeah,
They
that's
could
just
have.
maybe
No,
that's what
they
they saved it for. Maybe I'm just
maybe
ahead of the game. I'm just ahead.
put your stake right now because you know how we are.
Yeah,
We be predicting a couple things. We be on the mark more times than we're
yeah.
not. Okay.
So that was my only take, and that's
Okay.
not to say that the Cad Bane episodes weren't
Wasn't
good.
good.
I just would have preferred. That's like my preference. That's a personal preference. So you guys don't jump on me saying, "Oh, you don't like Cad Bane." I love Cad Bane because I love westerns. So he is
He.
right up
Yeah.
my alley as a character.
Baked into it. I can agree. I can definitely agree. I can see where you're coming from because I think, and me personally, I stand with you. I loved those episodes, but when I saw people's reaction online, because I like to go in comments and
Yeah.
look around, poke around a little bit, anonymity and stuff, not really commenting, but just seeing what people are saying. And they were saying the similar thing. They were like, we don't really need to have his story laid out, or don't make it, or what they were saying is they didn't want to really care about him like that. Like, don't give us some sympathetic backstory or whatever like that, which it really wasn't because he didn't even react the way you would typically act if your friend got taken away. He was like, "This is my life now." He didn't really. It didn't sway him.
Which is even more to it because it didn't really give us like, oh, this is why. It was almost like he was always like that. So it wasn't much that we really got from it. It's one of those situations where, oh, it's cool, we got to see Cad Bane again, but it really
Yeah.
didn't do anything as far as it didn't change the character at all.
No.
Everybody else, we saw a new side of them. We got a new perspective of who they are, where they came from, what they're like I said, what they were becoming. Like
Yeah.
Dooku, that's the best example out of all of them. Like where we got some insight. Ooh, excuse me, because we always was wondering why did he tell Obi-Wan that? Why did he leave the Jedi Order? Why did he go to the dark side? Why was he working with Sidious? Why he didn't go tell the Jedi? Because I'm not gonna lie. At first, when I was young, I thought he was just a random dude who was already with the dark side. Then when I
Yeah.
found out he was a Jedi, I was like, oh. Okay, how did this happen? Oh, really?
Exactly. Oh,
Really?
yeah.
But yeah, and I know you can agree with that. Like even with Ahsoka, we saw her like handle an Inquisitor with no lightsaber. So
Yeah.
that showed us how powerful she was growing in the Force. What's our girl who you said who was in Empire, not Bear,
Not Bears.
from
Morgan.
Mandalore, Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan.
We got to see her stories, and like you said, why she went on the path she did. What we already talked about Bears, and then with Asajj, we as avid fans, we know about that story because of the novels with her and
Yeah.
Quinlan Voss. So I wasn't surprised that they used that put a little twist on it, and it made sense. I know people were saying like, "Oh, here they go, they finna start bringing people back from the dead in Star Wars," and I was like, "Y'all, did y'all not forget that the Night Sisters and Man brought back
They brought
Maul
Maul.
and his
Yeah.
brother? Like that's
You
what
don't
they
forget.
do. They witches. Like people don't realize they not force users. They're witches. This is a big difference. But they just happen to
But
have children of the force.
they
Force
use the
sensitive.
Force in a different way. Like they don't use
Yeah,
it in the
it's
way
like
that
magic.
like Jedi's do.
Yeah.
They're on some like some Jedi, not Jedi Force necromancers or something like that. That's what they do. They use the Force to bring people right back because
Exactly.
because the way that the Force is and the way that we've understand like death, like Force ghosts exist. So you could
Mm-hmm.
technically snatch a Force ghost, put it back into somebody and have them come back or whatever like that, or to have it a host or whatever. I don't know how it really works, but I'm just spitballing, and that makes sense. You know?
Exactly. So I was like, how do y'all have a problem with something we already know is established? This ain't
Exactly.
nothing they just came up with. We know that they do this in Dathomir.
And
This is a
also,
thing.
we know that death isn't the end of a Force user, and we just
Mm-hmm.
never seen like the dark side of that. And maybe the
Yeah.
resurrection is the dark
I
side
was
of it.
look, and literally that's what Palpatine was talking about. Cheating death, and that's what she did. But at the same time, she did have this at this point in time, she wasn't a Sith anymore.
No,
She wasn't an assassin. So she might have been in that gray area we always talk about.
she
And then
had
on top of
a
that,
yellow saber too.
yeah, and then she had to, even with her coming back, she had to make a choice to come.
Mm,
So it ain't like she could come back and do what she want. It was a sacrifice. And that's
yeah,
what people fail to understand. It's consequences that come with this. Like when you come back as a force ghost, you're not physically there. You're ambience. You just exist in the plane of the force, but you're not. Huh?
but with
Go
new
ahead.
logic from the sequels,
Oh yeah, that's right.
you can interact
I,
with
I
physical stuff.
forgot. I
So
forgot.
you can do those kind of things. So that retcon is bad, but
I
or
forgot.
it's gonna be hard to get. It's gonna be hard
I
to
forgot.
understand for the whole
I forgot.
series.
I did. I forgot that. But needless to say, I don't see what the problem is with Asajj coming back from the dead. Like I don't get what the
No,
big deal
I
is.
like Asajj Ventress a lot, and so I was cool with it regardless. Like you could have just snapped your fingers and said she was alive, and I would have bought it because I don't really care like that. Like I'm not
He threw her
really.
in that Lazarus pit. That's what I said.
That's
The
what it
Star Wars
was, very
Lazarus
much.
pit.
Star Wars, exactly. Because even with if we look at series like Ahsoka, like the new series, they hit like the outside of the rim kind of stuff. Where there are some things out there
Yeah,
that
that
are
void. It's a
powerful.
void out there. Yeah.
Exactly. And you think the dark side, or you think Palpatine or Darth Sidious is like scary? That stuff in the void, woo! You'd rather face a Palpatine than that. I think we can put the rest that it's fine. Death exists in Star Wars. It's always existed in some facet. And some people stay dead because they're not Force users, and some people don't. I feel like there's probably some kind of stipulation on that. You can't resurrect anybody. It has to be people within the Force, like high users. They can retcon it real easy and make it to where people are not mad about it. Like it can only be people who are like trained in this or whatever like that. We're not gonna get
You know they will.
Han
They have
Solo
to.
coming back. He didn't come back,
Exactly.
but
Yeah, a little bit.
so I guess they can't really retcon it because Han Solo came back, and that kind of breaks it. Unless you say Han Solo was very Force
That
sensitive.
really broke it. I was not to get on that. I'm just gonna say I was completely confused by that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I get it. So that's me. That's me just trying to help Disney. And
I got something for you because
okay.
I think we pretty much covered everything.
Oh,
Right?
we good. We
So
did
since
it.
you brought up Han Solo,
Okay.
if they choose to continue this anthology,
Mm-hmm.
what would be your next choice?
We're already getting the Maul theory, so I'm just gonna cross that all the way out.
Yeah.
Because I definitely would want that period of where Han Solo sparked my interest with that series, where it sparked his. I don't know, because like I'm thinking, who's still around? Really, honestly, I don't know if I really want to see Yoda stuff like that though. Like Yoda would be in between all that, but he just was on that planet. Unless you just said he left the planet, but I don't know how I feel. That might be interesting, honestly. Let me take it back. So maybe Yoda for a little bit of Yoda stuff, just because I want to see him interact with that Sith area or discover it and like figure out what
Okay.
and try to and him going through that journey. Maybe not. Maybe you have Yoda killing some people on the planet. Whatever.
I'm down to see Yoda on Dagobah,
Yeah.
like a kind of hermit surviving in the wilderness and learning things.
Yeah,
And then
and learning stuff.
we might just see him talk to Qui-Gon. He was communicating with Obi-Wan. Hey, that's not bad to me. That's a good one actually.
Right,
Especially with
yeah.
as short because they're short episodes. That would definitely work. Actually, it'll be
Mm-hmm.
like that arc he had in Clone Wars when he was talking to those, what was they called? It was like some kind of
Oh,
entity of the
the
force.
father, the father, the son, and the daughter,
No,
like that.
not that one. They had the
Oh,
mask.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
yeah.
I forget what
It'll be something like that because remember that's how he had like the vision of him fighting
Mm-hmm.
Darth Sidious, and then he saw like a dark side version of himself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
that might work. Honestly, I'm actually
that's what I'm saying. I think what you said is a good one. That's actually a good idea.
That's just me spitballing. Disney, pay me if you're gonna do it.
Okay, you got Yoda, and who would be the opposite of Yoda, or who would be
So
the other one you would have?
so we're talking about like, are we talking about like Jedi Empire or Empire adjacent
It
or
could be
whatever?
Jedi. It could be Jedi. It could be Jedi.
Hmm.
Jedi. Regular, like a person who's not force sensitive. It could be whatever you. This is yours. This is your choice.
I'm trying to figure out who else I'd want because I know Yoda, and that was me spitballing. I don't really want any more like Han specific stuff because that's just gonna be like Rebels, and that's fine. That's cool if you like the Rebels. I love Rebels, but I don't want a tail series on Han anymore. We've already got everything I feel like we need to get on him. So that was one that crossed my mind. Boba Fett, we have Book of Boba Fett, and we already mentioned that. I'm trying to think of any characters that I would really want to see more right now. My brain is fogged, so I'm trying. Who's still alive? I don't know. Come back to me. I need to have
Come
time.
back to
You
you.
tell me yours, and maybe I'll spark me something, or maybe I'll come with agreements.
Okay. Okay.
Because I know you already have a list because you asked the question.
Yeah, I got a couple, but I'm gonna narrow it down to just two.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
You over
cause
here
only
like I gotta.
yeah,
What about
cause
it?
I only want the two, cause it's only gonna if I had to choose. So we got the themes of the Jedi Empire Underworld, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, I know you said you don't want Han, but I was thinking like a smuggler one,
Okay.
like to show the
Okay.
smuggler side of stuff, 'cause that's a big thing. And I would do Han, and let me tell you why.
Okay. Okay.
Because they teased us with that Jabba the Hutt Easter egg that they dropped in the Han Solo movie about he was finna go do a job, and we ain't get to see that. And I want to see. I always want to see why Jabba is so pissed with Han and want him knocked off. So I want to know what Han did. And
Yeah.
it'll be cool to see like a Han right before like a New Hope and where he was. So I would
Definitely.
say I would go with that, and probably who would be my counter for that? Ooh, I sent you it, and it was a fan. It was a fan made thing,
Oh,
but it wouldn't match up with Smugglers. But I would want to see Republic, like the Commando, the Ghost Squad.
oh, you did send me that. Yeah.
Yeah,
What's it?
that would be good. That would be a good one.
That would be a good one.
But if I had to choose another side to that, it would be, oh man, I'll make it fun. Do something with Hondo.
Okay. Yeah,
Pirates.
I can get. Yeah, I can get into
And
that.
and put in the game Outlaws, the character from that game. Just they
Yeah,
just dropped the DLC with her and Hondo. I would watch a Smuggler one because I could
I
get
can
a
get
little bit
behind
more
that.
of my Western in there, just to get away from like the whole like Force Empire, show that
Oh
side of
yeah.
everything. But definitely, if I had to go, if I had to stick with like the whole Empire Republic thing, I would want to see. Let me see. So they did Empire. If I would want to see a New Republic, if this was my other choice, the New Republic, and
Yeah.
show Leia like how she how she did like becoming a politician and stuff after the fall of the Empire.
Okay.
I would like to see
Yeah.
that, and then I would like to see like the formation of the First Order, like how they showed in Andor, how the rebels formed. I would like to see like the beginning of that, like how that idea started to
Okay.
spark.
Oh,
So
okay. You
we'll
want to see
see
how it
like
like
both of them,
goes.
so it'll line up,
Mm-hmm.
because that would give us a better insight on that story since the sequel stories are staying around. So
Might as well fill them up.
yeah, so those would be my stories. It would be New Republic or
Mm-hmm.
Smugglers. That would be my two.
Okay. And I'm thinking, since you said Han, I want some more Lando, so I'm gonna say Lando's my second one. Just like an
Yeah,
early days Lando, like before we meet him in
yeah,
like Solo. You
yeah.
know how he became like Lando, because we really don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily know that. He's just been like in and out of the like even in Rebels, he
Yeah,
was like in, out. You
yeah.
know, had his
He
own
would just
thing.
pop up all the time.
So I would like to see maybe like a more like his from upbringing or whatever that everyone started to all the way to
Yeah,
him being like Lando. So
cool.
those
Yeah.
two, what I would love to see that I can think of. But yours were great. I like both of yours. One filled in that area of in between the originals and the sequels, and the other one filled in the between the prequels and the originals. So it fits in between both of those
Mm-hmm.
eras. Yeah, like I can't really think of anybody too much without like what I want to see because you got to be very careful how you do these tale series. You got to get some characters that you can expand on without really breaking lore or establish canon, if you will. You got to be very careful. So I think your stories will work, and I think mine would be good too because we don't really got much of Yoda in between
Yeah, we don't.
three
That'll be
and.
a good. I love to see that side of Yoda because he's
Mhm.
also dealing with the defeat too.
Yeah, exactly.
My dude
And
had to hide for 20 years basically.
he's on that swamp planet.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, honorable mention be I'm gonna say it now, the Mace Windu. I just thought about it, came back in mind. Give me a tale of the story with Mace Windu, and you got my money, Disney. There you
Look,
go. Just
shut up
take
and
it.
take my money.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to ask? Have you have any more
No, man,
burning?
that's really the only question I had. Because, like we said, the series is kind of self-explanatory in itself. They're tales. It's
Good
not like a
tales.
full show. They shorts,
Exactly.
so it's not too much to get deep into. We not the guys to look at to try to find every little Easter egg and hint
No,
and quote.
that's no.
It does its job. It did its job. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, and if you're fans of Star Wars in general, you already know any Easter egg we'd even tell you. Because those tale
Mm-hmm.
series, they tapped into a lot of whatever they were about. So Count Dooku tapped into the prequels, and Ahsoka's tapped around the Clone Wars, after Episode 3 and up to where we see her again, close to where we see her again. So there ain't really much that I can tell you. The tale series are very short, and they don't really tell you way too much. Like they expect you to go in
Yeah.
with knowing Star Wars.
Yeah, you definitely gotta watch stuff to know what's going on because it ain't just I'm gonna jump into this and watch it. Nah,
No,
you gotta know what's up.
you got to at least know the saga at
Mm.
the very least. You can get around not knowing the solo projects and the shows and stuff like that, but with the Ahsoka one, you're probably gonna be like, "What's happening here? Where this,
Mm-hmm.
that, the other?"
Yeah,
And with the Tales of the Underworld, you're definitely gonna be lost
yeah,
because
for
if you
sure.
don't really know anything about, because Morgan doesn't show up in any of the movies,
Mm.
and Asajj Ventress, it's a show only kind of thing. She's not in any of the movies, so
Mhm.
you'd be lost unless you watch the shows. Which, if you love Star Wars, you might as well just check those off the list.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely recommend the Tales series. This is a great
Yeah,
little addition,
and I
and
hope
we
they keep
want
doing
more.
these.
Keep
Exactly.
them coming.
Keep bringing them. Honestly, Star Wars should really work now and moving forward. I'm going to keep it short. Is just doing shows and like movies, like one-off movies, like Rogue One, stuff that like talks about the Death Star plans or how this happened, and the little short pieces. They don't have to do a saga or anything like that. Oh, you back? Was that cut out?
Yeah. Yeah. It had, you was saying, and it had a pause, and then it came back. I don't know what happened.
Oh no, okay. That's the sign that let's wrap it up.
I know, right? Oh man, because I'm surprised that hell we did good this long.
we shoot real good. With that being said, you know what time it is, Marcus?
It is time for a shameless promotional. I can't really do voices tonight, y'all. I'm stuffy, but
that was a good voice. That was very proper.
Yes. Hello there.
And this has been the Square Roundtable Podcast. We've been your hosts, Mark. Sorry, he and Marcus.
He's Marcus, and I'm Dimitri. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, we swapped it today. You can follow us on our socials, our Instagram, never X. You know, forget that whole media platform. We don't mess with X. And you can hit us on our Discord. It's in the description. And our Reddit is out there. It exists. You just look up Square Roundtable Podcast. You'll see it on Reddit. You can jump in there and ask us questions or suggest things for podcasts. We'll take, honestly, any interaction. We're there. Mm-hmm. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell on the right side of the video to get notified of the next podcast. And comment on this if you like the Tales series, if you hated them. Who's your favorite Tales character that we've gotten expanded on? And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Comment, like, yeah.
Comment, subscribe.
Comment, subscribe. No, but late night hours. This has been a Square Roundtable Podcast. We are out.